As I've been reading through One Piece, getting to Arlong Park has been an eye-opener, at least to me. Because as we've discussed previously, Arlong Park is where One Piece really starts to come together in a big way. This is because, by focusing on Nami, One Piece begins to pay off a near 60+ chapter run of just constant building. But with this video, I want to hone in on something equally as important: Nami's backstory. Because there is one key aspect in which defines One Piece for me, and it happens in Nami's backstory. But before we get there, we have to pick up where my last video left off, shortly after Nami visits her mother's grave. This one is gonna be a good one. But, as well, this series is patron supported, meaning by becoming a patron, you will gain access to my next 3 One Piece videos on my final video on Arlong Park, and as well, Loguetown and Reverse Mountain. Don't miss out, click the link in the description. It seems Zoro has broken out of his prison and meets one of the fishmen, a charming fishman, Hachan, who agrees to take Zoro to Arlong on Kokoyashi. I thought this was cute enough, just a good old oblivious dude chilling out and being chill. Love to see it. On the flip side, Luffy, Sanji, and Yosaku end up meeting, maybe encountering is a better word, a gigantic sea cow, which, yeah, I'm not making that up. It's literally a giant cow of the sea, but also sort of cute though. And hey, credit where credit is due. The giant sea cow, Momu, is just one of the examples of One Piece's variety of aquatic life, which I feel like really helps the world building of the series, which is already more than most other series in this run. Though, I'm starting to think that Luffy is a fan of Araraki because at the mere hint of Momu wanting Luffy's food, he punches the poor fella. This would lead to all of them eventually hitting Momu. Poor Momu. Though, as Zoro searches for Arlong, the latter comes across all of his men who have been defeated by Zoro. Along with them is Usopp, who they have as a prisoner. Though the fishmen commiserate about Nami possibly betraying them, which is when she shows up herself, directly confronting them and offering to kill Usopp. She reasons to them that why would she join them for 8 years only to have in the end her plan fail, especially when she's so close to buying back the island from Arlong anyways. All the while, Usopp tells her that even now Luffy believes in her, though she's quick to shut him down, calling him an idiot for believing in her. As for all she cares, she likes the money, not the camaraderie, which at this point, I certainly doubt. I think it's quite obvious that Nami believes in the plan, and that plan is getting Arlong his money, which will free her and her people. So in turn, I think the reason she's able to fool so many is because on the outside, it just seems like she's all about the money. But in reality, she cares more about her friends and family, which is pushing her to be something she's not. That's clever writing. So, she tries to kill Usopp, which I'm gonna be honest, I'm okay with this, telling him that it's useless to try and fight against her, pulling out her staff from her pocket and striking him down. Though Usopp uses Smoke Star, creating a smoke screen to distract Nami. She suspects he's doing something like that and counters it anyways, hitting Usopp once again. And then she goes in for the kill and stabs Usopp, leaving him to bleed out and die. This show of ruthlessness from Nami impresses Arlong, and what can I say? When I first saw this, I thought Nami for sure just killed Usopp and actually submitted her fate. I thought she did a heel turn and became evil here. Something, I just never expected. Though, what happens next? Honestly, it's just as surprising. A marine ship arrives on the island led by Commodore Purine of the Marines' 77th branch. Though, Arlong's fishmen are able to make a whirlpool and deal with the ship. Now, I know for a fact that Purine is probably going to show up again. It's just when and in what capacity will he make a splash in the story, but it's really nice to have this here, even though it was really short. As Luffy makes his way to the island, Johnny tells Luffy how Nami killed Usopp in cold blood, showing her allegiance to Arlong in the process. Luffy is absolutely shocked and cannot accept that Nami would kill Usopp, so much so that He's fuming with rage. I mean, look at that face. This right here is also a fantastic example of characterization. While I think many people would go, oh, that's just Luffy, he's your normal shonen MC, it's really understating this moment. Think about this closely. Luffy is so in denial about Nami betraying them that her killing Usopp is to him something that doesn't make sense. It cannot make sense. This is a great characterization because it really shows how much Luffy cares about his crew, but also how much of an imprint Nami has left on the Straw Hats at large. Let's take, for example, all of their reactions. For the most part, it's basically people calling Nami a hungry gold digger of sorts. That was some really fun alliteration. But they're all unique in the sense of how each of them think about Nami. They all had some sort of glowing impression of her, and how Luffy reacts shows just how integral Nami is to the Straw Hats. Gosh. I love this kind of stuff, don't you? So, Nami confronts Luffy, and what we see here may just be one of my favorite moments in One Piece yet. So, let's just refer to the strap built into our seats and strap in. Luffy immediately asks if they're still crewmates, which Nami responds with one of the coldest looks, saying it was all just some cooperation that they were doing. Oh my god, you guys. While this is happening, Johnny calls out, claiming her to be just a witch who will stoop as low as to kill her own crewmates in Usopp and Zoro, the latter of which survives, of course. So Nami tells them that no matter what, Arlong wants them dead, and it doesn't matter how strong they are. They will surely perish. Zoro asks, "Where is Usopp?" To which Nami replies, "At the bottom of the ocean." Oh my god, you guys. So Zoro charges at Nami, but it's Sanji who stops his charge. The power of simping has won the day. Sorry about that, Twitch. That was wrong of me to say. Sorry, chat, this will never happen again. That was my fault. Sanji's reasoning for stopping Zoro was because, well, you wouldn't hit a lady, would you? So, let's analyze this. Nami almost killed Zoro. Nami, as of this moment, is believed to have killed Usopp. Nami literally just told them that they all have to die. Sanji, what the hell, man? She literally hates you and wants you to die, but you still simp. Ah, damn it. Sorry, chat. Listen, I'm sorry. What I said right there wasn't right, and it'll never happen again anyways. I don't get it. Moving on or something. Nami makes a compromise, though. She will give the Going Merry back if they just leave, thinking the Straw Hats showing up may be due to her stealing their ship. In response, Luffy decides he's just gonna sleep because, you know, it's Luffy. No, really, even Nami flies into a rage and yells at him, telling him that if he wants to die, then so be it, which is a lie. And I'll tell you why. I rhymed. Nami didn't kill Usopp. She simply stabbed her own hand instead of him, saving Usopp's life. Nami lied because of her mission. She's trying her hardest to keep this plan together and to protect her friends' lives in the process, but they're not making it easy at all. She never wanted to kill anybody, and she's only ever gotten close to it because of this very moment. This withered look she wears is likely just from the stress and the sadness from all of this, taking a huge toll on her emotionally. And it's sad to see, because Nami was so happy with the Straw Hats, but because of her deal with Arlong, she's now forced to rip that all away from herself for the sake of her home village and her people. She's noble and brave, not a witch. After this, Nami goes to Nojiko's house where she destroys a window in frustration. There, Nojiko tells Nami she's met Luffy and that he's a liar. But more importantly, that Nami hates friends, and so it's no wonder she'd act this way in this situation. I mean, I hate friends too! It seems that Nami is putting up walls to keep people from getting close to her, which makes sense. She's the type of person to do everything on her own. And if you've ever met a person like that, you'd know they're typically pretty closed up because, well, they do everything themselves. Even when it comes to friends, they're usually their own friends, if that makes sense. But something else which is becoming quite clear is that Nami is suffering under the weight of her own goals. She's doing everything on her own, which is leading to a lot of frustration, and her friends are trying their best to help, but she's not accepting it. So out of that frustration, she is breaking windows and succumbing to the weight of her problems. Oh my god, you guys. Honestly, this is kind of endearing. Like, it's just cute, you know? She's trying to do her best to do it alone. It's adorable. Then, Nojiko finds Luffy and the others, and so begins our backstory for Nami, despite Luffy not wanting to know about it. But, you know, that does make sense for him, to be fair. Luffy doesn't seem judgmental to his friends, so it seems like he doesn't really care who they were, just who they are. Turns out, Nami and Nojiko were raised by a woman named Belmere, which Nami referred to in the Barati arc, so I was wrong about my theory of Belmere being some sort of antagonist for Nami. She was their adoptive mother, who struggled to make ends meet and thus lived poorly. I can relate. And despite being so poor, they were happy before Arlong came to their village, which shows to me that Nami isn't a woman hellbent on money, despite what she wants people to think. Though, as for Belmere herself, she's quite the woman indeed. She suggests to the mayor after Nami shoplifts a book that she will pay for it with her body. This sort of attitude and carefree nature is really the best way to describe Belmere in a nutshell. She's free-spirited, free-willed, and generally just goes with the flow. She's chill, she's comfortable, which is cool. We see that Nami at least learned a lot from Belmere, in particular with her free-spirited rebelliousness, but more dangerously, how to use her feminine wiles, as seen earlier in Barati and before. Nami, in many ways, is Belmere through and through, which, I'm not gonna lie, that's really cool. It's good writing. We also learn that from an early age, Nami was extremely talented, learning how to draw maps at only 8 years old, and so her dream is to eventually sail the world and make a map of the world with everything she saw and experienced. Needless to say, Nami is ambitious. But when Nojiko and Nami get into a spat, she says that they aren't real sisters after arguing about their clothes. This brings Belmere to slap Nami, don't condone that, and tells her that being related by blood isn't necessarily important and to not suggest anything of the sort ever again. But Nami, in anger, yells back that she probably thinks Belmere doesn't care for them and wishes that she were born into a rich family. So Belmere tells her to go if she actually believes that. And she does. She runs away. Belmere tells Nojiko that unlike herself, she's prudent and mature, so she wants her to go bring back Nami. While this happens, Nami goes to the mayor of all people and vents about what she's going through, and the mayor simply laughs. We learn from him that, much like Nami, Belmere was a handful, and to many still is known as such. Though, before Nami and Nojiko, she was in some battlefield that she was ready to die in, but saw Nojiko carrying Nami and thus steeled her resolve to not die and get these children help at all costs. Nami and Nojiko sorta gave Belmere a reason to live again. Such a sweet story, but sadly, wouldn't end that way. When Arlong inevitably came to the island, Belmere, a struggling mother, couldn't pay him. So the mayor suggests that she just pay for one person, as Nojiko and Nami are nowhere to be seen anyways. But Belmere can't do it, because she is the mother of those two girls and she wants to be known as such, since they are family after all. So her share will pay for Nami and Nojiko. And as she says this, the two run to Belmere, get ready for the waterworks, in an absolutely heartbreaking moment. They both plead with Belmere to not die. Nojiko tells her to use her skills as a marine to fight, and Nami tells her she needs to live to see the map of the world that she's going to draw. While I'm not a parent, I can only imagine what their words were doing to Belmere as they pleaded with her. And so, as Arlong points a gun at her head, her last words to the girls were simply, "I love you." Jeez, keep it together. We then go even further back to when Belmere just became their mothers and the effects she's had on them. Probably not good ones when you consider what 8-year-old Nami said to the mayor, but we're not going to talk about that. Turns out, though, these were Belmere's last memories flashing before her eyes. From there, the village is in disarray, and the girls have no clue what to do, as Nojiko takes on Belmere's motherly traits, becoming the rock of the family, while Nami takes on her more rebellious ones, becoming the cartographer for Arlong's pirate crew. But while the village initially does disagree with this move from Nami, she confides in Nojiko that she's going to earn 100 million belly to buy back the village from Arlong. Most importantly, that she'll never cry again, and she'll fight on, alone. Nami's backstory is important because it shows that in the world of One Piece, you can't judge a character until you truly know a character. We can go up and down the list of names people have called Nami in this series, but none of them were truly accurate because nobody was able to judge her character reliably. What everyone saw of Nami was a symptom of a larger diagnosis, not the diagnosis itself. And what was the diagnosis anyways? Well, she was so determined to not die at the hands of Arlong that she used the one skill she had to save her and her people from surefire destruction, and she'd do it alone and heartbroken because that's all she needed. Or was it? Alone, Nami certainly got far, but as of right now, her plan is crumbling right in her hands. The one thing I think she needs to do is shed the walls which have kept her protected for so long and let the people who matter back in. Those people are the Straw Hats, her friends that trust and rely on her skills as a cartographer to navigate them at sea. These are the people who have already shown that they are there for Nami and want to help her. It's just, at this point, the only one stopping them is Nami herself. But I imagine things are coming to a close in this chapter of Nami's life anyways. Her backstory is important because it's the one thing that makes Nami make sense. What makes her whole. Without it, she's just a pirate thief. With it, she is a brave girl risking it all for freedom, even if it means going at it alone. What this does for the larger story of One Piece, though, is that it defines the idea of not judging a character immediately, that there is more to them than what they may act like. That idea is a powerful one because it makes characters more gray, less black and white. Nami, in this regard, certainly isn't a good guy right now. Her actions have shown that. But in time, we have clearly seen her bad actions are for a good result. And that's how Nami has defined One Piece. She has given a meaning to all of those chapters of build-up and has made the reader realize, hey, every character in their story is important. So don't judge it just yet. But what do you think about Nami's backstory? Do you think it defined One Piece? If not, what do you think has so far? Let me know in the comments below, and remember to become a patron to get access to my next videos on Arlong Park Part 3, Loguetown, and Reverse Mountain. Click the links in the description. Thank you for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.